Hey. Oh, Lord, I've been having technical difficulties. Lord have mercy. It's been a challenge. Riley wanted to show out tonight. I mean, it was just, we were all over the place. But we here now. You know, we here now. So it's all good. Thank y'all for bearing with me with my glitchy light and technical difficulties and crying babies. I was just talking about how this is a challenge, and you know, sometimes I'm like, to heck with it, but then I'm like, no, there's purpose in this, so I keep it going. Hey girl. So anywho, just wanted to get started. This is Tough Topic Tuesdays, and this is the part 2 of the nitty gritty relationship history. And I wanted to touch on 5 lessons that I learned from my second marriage. So just a backstory on the relationship before the marriage. A lot of you guys may or may not know, I was in a relationship with this second marriage for, it was a year on the dot, I believe. A year on the dot. Yeah, we started dating on Thank you, girl. I'm gonna keep it going, you know, by the grace of God. But we started dating in December 2nd, 2000. Oh, you know what? We just gonna go without the light, okay? Because this thing is tripping. We started dating December 2nd, 2000. What was that? 2017. And funny backstory about this relationship, how it started, is that we actually were godbrother and godsister before we dated. So it was kind of weird. I don't think I've ever had a relationship that started out as weird as this one. So pretty much my mom is like a mother to all, pretty much. She's like everybody's mom, big mama, or whatever they, you know, like to nickname her. So she met my ex-husband at a gas station, I think it was, and she just started ministering to him. It was like down the street from our old house. And then she was just like, you know, like God, you know, God has a really big calling on your life, you know, something like that. I don't know how the whole story went, but I just know that they exchanged numbers and stayed in touch. And then we later found out that we lived right down the street from each other, which was so weird at first. And I was just like, what? So then, like the weird thing is that he liked me, like, or he found me attractive first, and I was just like, yeah, that's a hard no. Like, for me, it's a no. It's a no for me, because I just did not see it. I was just like, he's not my type. Like, I had a type back then. Like, yeah, it was a thing. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I think it was, I felt bad. I felt really bad because he tried to ask me out or be his Valentine one year. And this is like years ago when I was like 18 or so. Like, we've known each other for a long time. It was like 8 years or so, like 8 or 9 years ago. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not interested. Thank you. You know, like trying to put it all soft or whatever. But then years later, like after my first divorce, it was just like I was all out here doing my thing, you know. And then I kind of went through a little bout of depression. And I remember he was like, throughout the years he was there. He was there when I was with my first husband. He was there after the divorce. He was just always like around, you know. Like, he was always just kind of there. So I remember I guess he kind of like just noticed that I was like, you know, like not really acting myself at one point. And he sent me like an encouraging text message like, hey, you know, you're beautiful, and you know, you should wear things to like accentuate your assets or something. You're like you have a beautiful body. He was saying something like to compliment me. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And like, I don't know. It was just like weird. And so like one night, like we started not talking like officially dating talking, but just talking as, you know, like normal friendship or whatever. And like we were exchanging like messages, like funny memes back and forth. I don't know. Caught slipping, girl, yes. So I don't know what, at one point we were talking really late one night, or we were just talking with my family, because he was always around my family, like he was family. So we were around my family, and then he left the house, and I remember my sister was like, have you ever thought about, with, and I was just like, what? No. But then after she asked it, it just got my mind thinking more about it, and I was just like, I mean, but like, why not? Speaking of the devil, I'm kidding. So like, I was just like, Emily. So I was just like, maybe I should, like consider what it would be like, and just like, I don't know, I just started like becoming a little bit more interested. I was just like, okay, I guess I can, I'll dabble. And so, so I remember we were talking a little bit more often. We didn't make anything official. We were just talking, like, kind of getting to know each other friendly, like a little bit more friendly. Because, like, all those years, it was, like, I would talk to him kind of, like, amongst family. Nothing, like, one-on-one too much. Like, it was mainly, like, around family. And so, like, around that time, we were just starting to talk a little bit more, like, one-on-one. So then, I remember he asked me out. It just got real. Then I remember he asked me out on, and it was so funny. We had a debate about this for a long time of what day we actually like officially started dating, because I thought it was December 1st. But he was like, no, it's December 2nd because it was after midnight. And I was just like, but no, that shouldn't count. Like, it was just the whole thing. Like, I just wanted it to be on the 1st for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, so it was December 2nd, 2017. We started dating, and it seemed like things were going pretty well. I was very strict on, like, wanting to have, like, super strict standards and, like not budging on my boundaries, like I mentioned in the last live. And I was just, like, really on it. Like, I wanted things to be different this time around. So when we started out, I was like, I had a no kissing rule. Like, I was like, I wanted to test out, because I think I heard it from, like, Heather Lindsay or somebody. And she had this thing with her husband where they didn't kiss. Like, they didn't kiss at all during their dating phase, nothing. And they only kissed on their wedding day. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Like, I want to try it. Like, so I was just like, let's give it a go. And he was like, that would be hard for me. And I was just like, yeah, I get it. But, like, we just wanted to give it a shot. And I remember what was it? Not even 2 weeks in, dog. Like, not even 2 weeks in. And dude, like, kissed me on the lips. And I was just like, one day, like, why would you do that? I was so mad. I was like, I really wanted to try this. Like, I really wanted to see how it would go down. But he was like, oh, but you're just so beautiful and blah, 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 hyping me up. And I was just like, oh, all right, all right, we can do that. But what we not gonna do is this. So, like, I had to, like, try to put up these other boundaries to just, like, fortify my other decision on, like, I don't know. Girl, how it started. It didn't go down the way we thought it would. Just put it like that. So, just for the sake of time and to spare y'all all the details, right? I should go show Riley. But yeah, for the sake of time, it didn't go down the way I thought it would. We ended up kissing. We ended up, going past other boundaries that I had set up. And, man, I was just, like, so disappointed in myself. I was just like, no. Like, all of the boundaries, I was so mad. I was mad at myself, and then I was also upset with him because I felt like he was kind of leading certain things. And I was just like, whatever. So we got to a point where, you know, it got real. Like I'm saying, like, you know, when you started out with the kissing, you know, and then the touch and feeling and the, you know, dumagama juice. Eventually, you're going to get to a point, you know, where it's just like, hey, we're hot and heavy, you know, let's do the darn thing. So, yeah, it got to that point where we did the darn thing. And I'm not going to lie, I was still in a moment where I was just like, hey, that was nice. But then, like, instant regret happened, of course. Just instant regret was like, here we go again. I broke another boundary. I broke another thing that I promised myself. And I just was so disappointed. But then I was like, hey, we're here. We can start over. Let's, like, make it right. And then it just was like a cycle. Like, I felt like, dang, like, we would do it. We would feel bad about it. We would ask God for forgiveness. We would try our best to do it, not do it again. And then before you know it, we was doing it again. Like, and I remember we went through marriage counseling, premarital counseling. Premarital counseling, because we were married yet. With my apostle at my church. And I was just like, yo, this is really good. We need this accountability. Yeah. But it was just like, even with that accountability, we were still having struggles. And I'm just like, dang, what is going on? Like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with us? So eventually, he put a RAYN on it. And I was just like, okay, cool. So it ain't that far away. So we can hold out. So, like, we really tried our bestest to hold out until we was married, to stay celibate. And so, like, finally we got married. And then, I'm not even lying to y'all. It was like 1 month later, boom, I'm pregnant. I was just like, wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. I was like, we literally, before we even got married, people were like, oh, are you guys going to have kids and stuff? When we were engaged, I was just like, oh no, we waiting for at least a good 2 years. Because mind y'all, I already had a son. He was like 3 years old. And so I was like, we're going to wait at least 2 years before we have kids. That was, right, that escalated real quick. It's just like, woo, yay, marriage, all right, honeymoon, boom, pregnant. Like, it was just like, wait. I was like, oh, wait, hold on, Jesus. Like, I know we doing what married folks supposed to do, but I just didn't want this just yet. Like, oh no, I wanted to hold on just a little bit. Anywho, so got pregnant very unexpectedly. And, but it's crazy. Both times I was pregnant, I knew. Like, I just, in my body, I just knew. I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Like, it was so funny. But yeah, so like, we had to like think fast. Like, we were just like, okay, what the heck are we gonna do? Like, and I was just like, I was really leaning on him to like, you know, make some decisions and like make sure that, you know, we were all gonna be taken care of. And there was a lot of things that just kind of fell through for us. And I was just like so disappointed. Like an apartment that we were like banking on to move right into didn't go through. Like certain job opportunities just didn't like pan out. And I'm just like, Jesus, what is this? Like, you said the blessings of the Lord make it rich and have no sorrow. Where are blessings at, Lord? You know, like I was like kind of looking like sideways, like, come on, Jesus, what's going on here? But anywho, it got to a point where I felt like the financial stress of our marriage was kind of like heavy on both of us, but more so on him because, you know, as the man of the house, they always want to be like in charge of like making sure like they're the breadwinners and things like that. So like those are usually challenging topics to deal with when finances are an issue. And I was, at the time, I was like really on top of my finances and like really like on it, like knowing where every dollar is and making sure everything, all the bills are paid on time, everything's accounted for, you know, all that, whatever. So when things started getting tight for us financially, it was just becoming more of a stress factor. And then it was like intimacy wasn't much of a thing for me because when I'm thinking about intimacy, I'm thinking like, you know, I'm at peace. My mind is at peace. I know that things are taken care of, and like, you know, we're able to do things together, because I really felt like, you know, when you don't, I'm like, I wasn't big on money, like as far as, oh, we gotta go balling out the pocket at a 5-star restaurant to like, you know, spend time with each other. But like, you know, it's good to always have like that little peace of mind in your back of your head, like, hey, you know, we good, you know. Like, so like when it was in the struggle, it was just hard for us to even spend time together happily because of that like back of the mind thing going on, you know. So anyway, when we got through, I think it was like the first 3 months, we had like a 3-month like getaway, I guess, where well, it's like a staycation. We went to a hotel like in Myanmar or something like that, and it was so nice. Like, he did it up. I was like, okay, I see you. Like, he did it up. And then I was just like, wow, okay, like, this is great. We're doing great. And it was I don't know what happened after that 3-month mark, but it was just like boom, 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 back to back problems. And I was just like, yo, like, chill. Like, can I breathe, please? Like, it was just so many things going on. And I was just like, God, I can't. And then, like, I was, you know, pregnant, like I said. So I was getting bigger. I was becoming more uncomfortable, you know, back problems and things like that, swollen ankles, all that, yada, yada. And we get a report from the doctor where they found something on my daughter's brain. And I don't think we even really told too many people about this, because I was just like heartbroken. They found something on my daughter's brain, and it was the point where they were wanting me to do something called an amniocentesis or something like that, where they were supposed to stick a needle up my belly and like test my baby's amniotic fluid and make sure that there's no potential diseases or things like that. And they really just want to do that just so that you can get the okay, like, to terminate the pregnancy earlier than later. And I was just like, no, I'm not terminating anything. Like, I'm going to have this baby whether there's, you know, mental health issues or not. Like, I'm going to have this baby. I don't believe in abortion. So that was like really heartbreaking. I was like depressed for like a good 2-3 days straight once I got that news. And like, it was just like a point of contention for us. And I remember it was just like little things kept building up over time. Like, it was just like, no, that wasn't a little thing, that was a big thing. But like, other things started building up with those bigger things. And it just kind of got to this point months down the road when I was finally about to deliver, where we were starting to have like, I mean, big arguments, like loud. I mean, I'm gonna let y'all know, he ain't never put his hands on me. I don't take that stuff, like, for real, period. He never put his hands on me. But our arguments were becoming more frequent and more like frustrating. Like, I can't take this anymore. Like, I gotta get out of here. Like, I was the type to be like, I'm out with my pregnant belly. Like, whoa. I was ready. Like, I was ready to just be like, deuces. Like, I'm out of here. I was so mad because it would just get so heated, and I was just like, I shouldn't be feeling like this as a pregnant woman. Like, we should be at peace. Like, we should have, you know, things at peace. So we finally got to a point where we were just like, hey, this is like happening a lot. Like, we need to deal with this. I wanted to go to counseling. At the time, he wasn't really for it or whatever. And I remember coming into the marriage, and I was just like, I'm not getting a second divorce. Like, that's just period. Like, whatever we got to do, we're going to work on this thing. Like, I'm not getting another divorce. Like, that's death. Like, and I'm not for death. Like, so when we finally got to the delivery, I had an emergency C-section, which was painful. Like, I thought regular childbirth was bad. C-section was the worst. And I was like, I was scared because there was, it was like an emergency, and like, I didn't have time to prepare, you know, like, if you can like mentally prepare yourself for something, it's a little bit better. But I had zero time to mentally prepare myself, and it was just like, we're doing this. I was just like having a whole panic attack on the operating table. Like I was like, I can't breathe. Like it was really bad. Like seriously. So we finally get to the point where I have my baby. I ended up having to move in with my sister because the bed that we had was too high, and I fell out of the bed 2 times and seriously hurt myself. So I was like, yeah, I gotta move in and get some help, because at the time he was working during the day and I didn't have anybody helping me at home. So I moved in with my sister, which was super awkward, but like we did it. My mom came in, she was helping me. My mom is a saint, okay, you guys? Like my mom is the mom of all moms, and she's like bomb.com. And she like helped me through that pregnancy, and it was like the best ever. And like we were like, during that time of me living with my sister, like we were still kind of like having these unsettled disagreements that just kind of were festering and festering. And to the point where I remember when I moved into my other sister's house, and I was just like, it was something so simple, like we would get into an argument about, and it would just blow up. Something so small would always blow up. So I was just like, okay, there's deeper issues going on here that we really need to get addressed. But he was at a point at that time where he was just like kind of checked out, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, you know, like I ain't gonna just sit around here. Like, and I remember him bringing up the word divorce, and I was just like, that was one thing I was telling him, like, I don't even want to talk about that word because we're not getting a divorce. Like, don't even say it. And I remember he brought it up, and I was just like, yo, why are you doing that? Like, I was just so mad. Like, don't even bring it up. I was literally like serious. Like, don't even bring it up, like at all. Don't even mention the word. But anywho, he was bringing it up, and I was just like, all right, like, shoot, I'm not gonna like beg somebody to stay with me. And I remember telling him that, like, I'm not gonna beg you to stay with me. Like, I want to be with someone who wants to be with me. And so we got to the point where it was like this one final blow up argument where I was just like, that's it. I'm out. And like I said, like before, when I'm done, like when I'm checked out, when I'm detached, I'm done. And so at that last argument, I was just like, I'm out of here. Like I think the very next day or the very same week, I came back in my car, packed all my stuff out of the house, and was like, deuces. Like, I was not playing. Like, I was out of there. And then I eventually got into my own place, and I remember he initiated the divorce paperwork. He got the lawyer and all that stuff. Like, he handled everything. And it wasn't until after we were separated for over a year. It wasn't until after we were separated that I was just like, we're actually on good terms now. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, it's the craziest thing. We separated for over a year. She gonna run there. She is, you know what? I can't stand you. We separated for over a year, and during that time, we actually got closer than we did when we were than we did when we were married, which is crazy. Like, we were able to talk out all of our differences. We were able to like deal with all of the inner issues that we didn't address. Like, it was crazy. I was just like, how is it that we're able to do this now, but we couldn't do this like when we were together? Like, that didn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. The thing is that I'm glad that we finally came to a place of peace, and like we can actually like have a conversation with each other. Cause like before I was like, man, forget that nigga. I was just like so mad. I was so mad. Like, I was brewing with bitterness and anger and resentment and unforgiveness and all kinds of like negative energy towards him. And I was like, it was funny because he blocked me on Facebook at one point. Because I literally, almost every other post, I was talking about him, but like through memes. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, when you find that meme that's like on point with your situation, and so you post it hoping that the other person sees it that you know you're talking about. Yes, that was me. And he literally blocked me on Facebook because he was like, and I asked him later on, I was like, why'd you block me on Facebook? And he was like, because I don't go on Facebook so I can get attacked. Like, why? I kind of felt bad, but then I was just like, no, I was mad. So, whatever. It's whatever. Anyway, of course, my bestie was here for it, every piece of it. So, long story short, divorce number 2 was probably more tragic than number 1 because I had higher hopes. I think that's what it was. Like, I had higher hopes and expectations for this to actually work. And so, like, when I seen that it wasn't, I was just like, but how? Like, why is this happening again? You know, like, and so instead of looking at it as a failure, like I said before, I don't want to look at anything that I did or do or whatever as a failure. I always want to see the lesson and find the lesson learned. So I picked out 5 lessons that I learned from my second marriage, and I finally put them on cue cards, guys, so I don't have to worry about my laptop dying. So here we go. Lesson number 1, pay attention to those early red flags. So I saw the very first red flag that I think I saw, but I ignored, was the moment that he kissed me. So the first kiss was my first red flag because I told him, yes, my best days are still ahead. Thank you very much. I remember telling him in very strong words that I was like so adamant about trying to not have any kisses until we get married because I really wanted to experience what it would be like, and then also to know the person, like to get to know him without the whole physical touch and emotional stuff getting involved and like blurring my decisions. Because I felt like with my first marriage, that's what happened with us. Like, we got into the physical way too soon, and it kind of like blurred my vision. I was in like I said, like the honeymoon phase where the puppy dog eyes, like whatever you want to call it. I wasn't seeing clearly, pretty much. So that's why I really wanted to have like the no kissing rule. So when he kissed me, I was like, the betrayal. Like, I was just so hurt. And I was just like, man, like I could have ended it right then and there, or I could have really put my foot down and like, hey, yeah, you did it once, but don't try this again. I ain't playing with you. Like, you know, like, but I just let it slide. And that was one thing that I realized, is that I let him, like in relationships in general, not just in this one, I always let things slide so easily. And I kind of like discourage myself from like standing firm on my decisions that I make, or discourage myself from standing firm on boundaries that I set, and then I regret it later. So that was one thing that was like really important for me to like learn that lesson, like, and really learn it this time, is that really pay attention to those early red flags and address them as soon as possible, so that you don't go on just pretty much allowing yourself or giving other people permission to, you know, disturb or disrupt your boundaries, or to just like bypass your boundaries, because those red flags can usually be a foretaste of what is to come. So just, you know, be mindful of that. So number 2, I have seen many people get married after divorce. Sis, I don't know about that one in this case, but you know, more power to them. So number 2 is you need to have a plan A and a plan B. Not saying that you're preparing for divorce. No, I'm saying have a plan A and a plan B when it comes to the decisions that you guys are planning on making, like in a relationship, moving towards marriage. So in our case, we just had to put all of our efforts, all of our energy into reserving this one apartment complex. And we were just like, yeah, we're going to get it. Like, we're just going to move right in, and everything's already lined up. And, you know, we were just like adamant. Like, we didn't think anything was going to go wrong. Oh, yes, this job is going to come through, and we're going to be making this amount of money. This bills are going to be taken care of. We'll pay it up with this amount. Like, we were just like, just gung-ho about getting everything in situated for this place, but we didn't pay attention to the minor details or account for, you know, some mishaps or some possibilities of things not going through, you know, and having that plan B set up. Because once things didn't go through the way that we hoped they would have, and we had some strong hopes, I'm not gonna lie, when they didn't pan out the way that we hoped they did, then we were kind of just stuck, and we're just like, okay, you know, we put all our eggs in that one basket and the basket broke, so we lost our eggs. Like, what are we gonna do now? So I think it would be better to always have that backup plan, so that you know for sure, like, you know, like not just with getting an apartment or getting a home, but like having you know, an idea of, well, okay, yeah, we're gonna wait 2 years to have a baby, but then have a backup plan, like, okay, well, what if we end up having a baby a month after our honeymoon? Like, what do we do then? You know, so those things you definitely want to talk about and like have those discussions, so that you can, you know, usually just hone in on those details and just be a little bit more clear about them, you know. So also I know that I mentioned last week in the live that I got my certification to be a life coach through the Eric Thomas Extreme Execution course. And it was really interesting to learn something, more new things about myself. And one thing that I did learn is, as a high I, as we call it, I am a person that is really into like being super extroverted, super happy and positive and hopeful and optimistic, that sometimes I can ignore details. And I was like, when I was thinking about these lessons learned, I was just like, wow. So that's how that kind of slide, like, you know, hit me from the blind side. Because like I was super into the, yeah, this is gonna work, we got everything figured out. Like, no, it's gonna happen, like, trust me, we're good. That I didn't account for those mishaps. So it's like, even learning little things like that about myself through my own personal assessment was able to like show me like, okay, these are some areas, some blind spots that you really need to pay more attention to, so that you don't fall into that trap again, you know. So okay, number 3 is to learn your love language, and also learn your partner's love language. Okay, this is crucial, okay? I don't know if you guys ever heard of Gary Chapman. He is a bomb.com teacher, and he wrote this book called The 5 Love Languages. He's written a whole bunch of books, but this is the one that I'm talking about as far as learning the love language. So if you don't know about it, the 5 love languages are physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and gift giving. Those languages pretty much say that this is how I like to receive love from a person who, like for myself, I like quality time. That was my highest, and then physical touch was next. So I like spending quality time with someone, and that's how I receive love from them. Now, if somebody who loves to give gifts is trying to give me a bunch of gifts and show that they love me through giving gifts, I may receive the gift, but I don't receive the love that they're intending with the gift. If that makes sense? Like, they're trying to show love by giving me a gift, like giving me a diamond necklace, or giving me, you know, a new pair of shoes, or giving me this, or giving me that. But I'm not receiving it because that's not my love language. My love language is quality time. So instead, if they were able to sit down with me and like have movie night, or, you know, we sit and talk about, you know, goals and dreams of the future, that to me would show way more love than somebody who's just giving me a bunch of stuff. Cause I'm a minimalist. Like, if anybody knows me and looks in my closet, like, you know, I'm a minimalist. Like, I really don't have a lot of stuff. Like, I literally just gave away bunches of clothes because I'm like, wow, this is so much stuff. I'll never wear all this. Like, like I really like always try to be minimal. So somebody giving me a bunch of gifts, like, and that's what happened in the beginning with my relationship with my second husband, was that his initial thought was that, oh, if I'm giving her gifts, like, it's gonna show that I love her, and da 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 da. And that was not my love language, like, at all. And it was just like, I was getting the gifts and I was just like, oh, thank you. Like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Like, but that was so sweet. Like, I would think like, wow, that was really nice. But I didn't really wear, like, it was things that I would, and it was things that I didn't even like wear. Like, it was like jewelry or necklaces. And y'all see me, you see these little studs. Like, I don't be wearing jewelry. I don't like be wearing rings and jewelry like that. Like, I really don't. So like when he was giving me this stuff, I was just like, oh, thank you. Like, I would wear it just for him, but like normally, like, I really wouldn't wear that stuff. So it was just like super awkward. And then later on, I found out that his primary love language was, I think it was like physical touch and words of affirmation were like a tie or something like that. It was like really close. It was like neck and neck. Same thing for me, like physical touch and quality time was like really close. So there's a quiz if you guys go online. I don't know if it's under like Gary Chapman. If you look up Gary Chapman 5 love languages test or quiz, you should be able to find it on Google. So then like when I was trying to show love to him with the quality time, he wasn't receiving it very well because that wasn't his love language. Or when we were married, it would always go left because I was like trying to spend quality time and then he would try to get physical. And I'm just like, no, I want to spend quality time. Let's finish watching the movie. Like, it was just like, dang, can we just cuddle and watch this movie? Like, why we always gotta, get into it? Like, can we just like enjoy the movie, please? I was just trying to enjoy the movie. So it's really vital, y'all. Learn the love languages. So number 4 is talk about sex, baby. Seriously though, y'all need to talk about sex before you get married. Even when you're married, like in that first couple of weeks or months, like, y'all need to talk about it because you need to have some clear expectations and to be open about like what is liked, what is disliked, what is like a no-no zone, what is like a good to go. Like, you really need to be honest and have that open discussion and be open to change. Definitely be open to change because this also ties into the love languages. So the way Gary Chapman describes it is that when you have a love language, it's like you have a love tank. Everybody has a love tank. And when you're speaking someone's love language, it's like you're pouring love into their love tank. And when somebody has a full love tank, it's easier for them to like, be intimate with you and things like that because their love tank is full and they don't feel like neglected. You know what I mean? So when it comes to having intimacy with your partner, it's better to understand, like, those things go hand in hand. To understand the person's love language, understand their wants and desires in that area of intimacy, and know like how to communicate even during it, because it's like that's important too. Like, sometimes you can hit a no zone and it'll be like, Jesus, no. Like, y'all need to have a word or a sign or something like, hey, don't do that no more. Or like, like all of those things is communication, and it's gonna make the relationship better or worse. Like, if you're not communicating, it's gonna, things that you do feel uncomfortable with, it's gonna continue because you're not saying anything. And then if you aren't communicating the things that you do like, and maybe you don't understand that that's something that you did like, then it won't happen again because you didn't say that about it, So it's good to communicate the good things and the bad things about sex in that area, but then also making sure that you're, like I said, open for change. Because like in my case, I became pregnant like really fast, and I was not expecting that. And if anybody who's ever been pregnant knows, your hormones go crazy. Like, you get a whole rush of hormones in your body to develop this brand new baby that's coming. And it's like all of that change in your body is really also going to throw off your libido or your sex drive or whatever. So it's like, it's good to understand that in the beginning, to like have an idea, because some people come into a marriage and they'll be like, I want to have sex 20 times a week. And it's like, so we just not gonna work? Like, we just not gonna, we're not gonna have lives outside of the bedroom? Like, come on, let's be realistic. But then there's other times where it's just like, I'll be good once a month. Like, that's not probably gonna work for a man. Like, you gotta be able to talk about those things, and then, like I said, be open for change. Because let's say you do get pregnant early and you realize that you start changing because your body is changing. Women, everybody goes through those changes during pregnancy differently. But when you're thinking about it, some people have a higher sex drive, some people have a lower sex drive, some people don't want to have sex at all. And that's okay. At the same time, you need to communicate that to your partner. Like, you can't just be out here like, I don't want to do it, and not explaining what's going on, because that's a place of contention. And that's actually something that we dealt with when I was pregnant with my daughter in that second trimester-ish. I just was just like, I just was not in the mood at all. And it was really hurting his ego, I believe. And also that lack of communication was also like, it was bringing tension between us, because it was just like, he was feeling like it was something wrong with him. And I'm thinking like, no, I'm pregnant. Can you not see my big belly? Like it was just like a lot of things going on during that time. So, you just want to deal with those things up front, and then also like, be flexible in the meantime, like, because of changes that could happen throughout your pregnancy. So also, you want to think about your emotions. You be gaining weight, you be feeling a little self-conscious or whatever, and like explain that to your husband and let them know like, hey, I'm a little self-conscious right now. Can you hype me up right quick? Like, let them know, like, hype me up, babe. Like, before we get into it. Like, I need to know that I look good still. Like, sometimes we just need that extra, that little extra oomph. So, last but not least, number 5. Number 5 is, don't let the sun go down on your anger or your argument. Sorry. Pretty much when we were dating in the beginning phases, me and my second husband, we were really good about communicating, like so good, too good. We would literally have like an argument, and then out of nowhere, like we would be up like till like 3 a.m, sometimes not sleeping at all, just talking out every detail of that argument and making sure that we came at the end of that night with some understanding that where we were standing with each other, and that we were okay. Like, and I love that. Like, it just gave me such validation, like, hey, we're in a good place and we're gonna be able to handle anything and we'll be having no problems, whatever. Reality check, when we got married, it was just like all this life stuff happens, and it was just like things were going back to back unchecked, or arguments were going on for days and days and not being resolved. And then over time, it's just like that gives you like a resentment, and you start building bitterness, and then it starts to fester, and unforgiveness is lingering, and all of this stuff is just like settled in you in this negative place. And it's like, when you try to be intimate in that sense, it's like you don't want to do nothing, because like when this stuff like that is happening, you feel the tension in the air. And so that's literally, I believe, what came to the end of our marriage, because we were just dealing with so many unresolved issues. Let me put it like that. There was like so many unresolved issues, and we were just slowly, we started out doing good with that whole, talking about it or whatever, but like we slowly just got to a place where we stopped doing it, or we did it less and less, and it just like had so many other things built up that by the time we came back to it, it was like a mountain of things that we swept under the rugs, a mountain of issues we swept under the rug. And by the time we get back to it, it was just like, yeah, that's a lot. Like, and at one point I wasn't willing to deal with it, but then I was like, you know what, we have to. And then at one point he was willing to deal with it, but then he was like, no, I'm not willing anymore. So like we weren't on the same page at the same time. Like the time that I wasn't willing to deal with it, he was. And then the time that I was willing to deal with it, he wasn't anymore. So it was just like, well, dang. So that sucked. So like that, like I said, that bitterness, those issues, if you don't address them, it can turn into bitterness. And that when that bitterness sets in and festers, it just causes like a lot of other issues and problems. Yeah, like it got to the point, like I said, where we just didn't know where to start. So it was just like, hey, you know, he was bringing up the divorce issue, and I was just like, you know what? Fine, if that's what you want, let's go for it, you know, because I couldn't fight on my own, you know, like you can't, when you're in a relationship, it takes two to tango, so you can't go into it like on your own, and you can't leave it on your own. Like you can't go into it on your own, and you can't stay on your own. Like you can't have a relationship by yourself. You have to have both people fighting for the marriage, both people in it to make sure that it stays healthy and thriving and, you know, beautiful. So at that point, when I realized, you know, he's no longer here, like I said, I'm not the type of person to try to make somebody stay with me. So I was just like, hey, it is what it is. We had a good run. You know, I think my heart really just hurt for my daughter, because I really wanted her to have what I didn't have, which is a good relationship with her dad. However, even after the divorce, I see him thriving as a dad, which is just crazy, because we had a little hiccup in the beginning phases, but now it's like we have our little schedule going and stuff, and she looks forward to seeing him, which is so cute. She's like, every time I'm like, hey, we're going to daddy's house, she's like, Dada, you know, like she gets all happy. So it's so good that she's happy to see him, and that's what I really wanted. Like, I wanted her to see a healthy marriage and a father figure. However, if I could at least have her have a good father figure, that's, you know, more than my heart could ask for. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's no regrets. It's no, oh my gosh, this was a failed divorce. A failed marriage again, ending in divorce. No, it's a lesson learned, and I pick up my little lessons, my little pearls, you know, that I grabbed from it, and just moving on with life and moving forward. So hopefully you guys enjoyed and was able to get some insight on my crazy relationship history. I'm really excited that next week I have a big surprise, and like I said, if you guys stay tuned, I'll definitely keep you posted on that. And any questions for me, definitely hit me up in my inbox, slide in my DMs, and I'll hit you back and probably answer some questions next week. So that should be fun. So that's it for me tonight. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And until next time, just remember that the glow in these streets is the truth, but can't nobody shine like you. Alrighty, talk to you soon.